I stood in my childhood bedroom, staring at my phone screen. The news alert glowed in the darkness. Youngest Nobel Laureate in history. My hands were shaking. Not from excitement. From rage. Because downstairs, right now, my entire family was laughing. About me. About my little research project. About how I'd wasted my life. And they had no idea what was about to happen. Let me take you back to where this all started. To the moment everything changed. To the Christmas dinner that broke me. My name is Emma Richardson. I'm 28 years old. And I just became the youngest person in history to win the Nobel Prize in Medicine. But 6 hours ago? I was the family disappointment. The joke. The cautionary tale parents told their children about wasting potential. I pulled into my parents' driveway that Christmas Eve, my stomach already in knots. The house was lit up like a goddamn carnival. Red and green lights everywhere. That inflatable Santa on the roof that Dad insisted on every year. I could hear the laughter from inside. Loud. Boisterous. Happy. They were all there. Mom. Dad. My older sister Jennifer. Her husband Brad. Aunt Mary. Uncle Tom. The whole perfect family. And then there was me. I grabbed my laptop bag from the passenger seat. Inside were 3 years of research. Groundbreaking discoveries about cellular regeneration. Work that would change medicine forever. But to them? It was my little hobby. I took a breath and walked to the front door. Emma. Mom opened the door before I could knock. She was wearing her red Christmas sweater, the one with the reindeer. Her smile was bright, but I saw it. That flicker of disappointment in her eyes. That look she'd been giving me for years. Sweetheart, you made it. We were worried you'd be stuck in that lab again. She said lab the way other people said prison. Hi, Mom. I hugged her, breathing in her perfume. The same scent she'd worn my entire life. For a second, I was 7 again. Safe. Loved. Enough. Then she pulled back and looked at me. Really looked. You're so thin. Are you eating? You work too hard, honey. I'm fine, Mom. Still doing that research thing? That research thing. 3 years of my life. Hundreds of sleepless nights. Breakthrough after breakthrough. Yeah, Mom. Still doing my research. She patted my cheek. Well, come in. Everyone's here. Jennifer has the most wonderful news. Of course she did. Jennifer always had wonderful news. The living room was exactly as I remembered. The same cream-colored carpet. The same family photos on the mantel. Jennifer's wedding. Jennifer's graduation. Jennifer's promotion. And one photo of me. From high school. Before I'd gone off track. Emma. Jennifer swept toward me, her blonde hair perfect, her smile dazzling. She was wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Brad stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder. He worked in finance. Made 6 figures. Drove a BMW. Everything my family understood. Everything I wasn't. It's so good to see you. Jennifer hugged me. How's the science thing going? The science thing. It's going well. That's sweet. Still at that little university? Yes. Don't you ever get bored? I mean, being stuck in a lab all day? I forced a smile. I love what I do. Of course you do, honey. Aunt Mary appeared, holding a glass of wine. But don't you want more? A real career? A family? And there it was. The same conversation we had every year. My career is real, Aunt Mary. Oh, I didn't mean, she touched my arm. It's just, you're so smart, Emma. You could be doing something important. Something that pays well. Like Jennifer. Jennifer beamed. Brad put his arm around her waist. Actually, Jennifer said, her voice rising. We have an announcement. Everyone turned. The room fell silent. Jennifer looked at Brad. He nodded. We're pregnant. The room exploded. Screaming. Hugging. Crying. Mom grabbed Jennifer, tears streaming down her face. Oh, my baby. My baby's having a baby. Dad pulled out his phone to take pictures. Aunt Mary was already planning the baby shower. And I stood there. Watching. Smiling. Dying inside. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Dinner was torture. We sat around the table, the turkey golden and perfect in the center. Mom had outdone herself. Mashed potatoes. Gravy. Green bean casserole. Cranberry sauce. Everything looked like a magazine spread. And everyone was talking about Jennifer. When are you due? Have you thought about names? You'll be such a wonderful mother. I pushed food around my plate. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Probably another email from the lab. Another data set to review. Another night of work waiting for me. Emma, honey, you're so quiet. Mom looked at me from across the table. Everything okay? Yeah, Mom. Just tired. Still working those crazy hours? My research is at a critical stage. Uncle Tom laughed. Actually laughed. Research. God, Emma, you've been at this for what, 3 years now? 4, actually. 4 years. He shook his head. And what do you have to show for it? I felt my jaw tighten. I've made significant progress in cellular regeneration. My work could potentially, but has it made you any money? Brad interrupted. That's what matters, right? Return on investment. Jennifer touched his arm. Brad, don't you know, I'm serious. Emma's brilliant. Everyone knows that. But what's the point if you're broken alone? The table went quiet. Someone dropped a fork. It clattered against a plate, the sound impossibly loud. Brad, Dad said quietly. That's enough. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Brad leaned back in his chair. Emma could be making bank at some pharmaceutical company. Instead, she's playing scientist at some second-rate university. My hands were shaking. I put down my fork. My university is ranked, Emma, sweetie. Aunt Mary's voice was gentle. Pitying. He has a point. Don't you want more? A nice house? A husband? Children? A real life? My life is real. You know what I mean. I did know. I knew exactly what she meant. My life didn't count because I wasn't married. Because I didn't have kids. Because I chose a microscope over a man. I'm happy, I said. Are you? Mom's voice was soft. Sad. Because you look exhausted, honey. You look lonely. Something inside me cracked. Just a little. Just enough to hurt. I'm not lonely. I have my work. I have purpose. I'm doing something that matters. But does it? Jennifer's voice was gentle. Almost kind. I mean, really, Emma. What are you going to have to show for all this when you're 50? A bunch of papers no one reads? An empty apartment? Jennifer, Dad started. No, Dad, Someone needs to say it. Emma is wasting her life. She's brilliant and beautiful, and she's throwing it all away to play in a lab. For what? Some abstract concept of making a difference? Meanwhile, life is passing her by. The room was silent. Everyone was looking at me. Waiting. I could feel tears burning behind my eyes. But I wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. "Excuse me," I whispered. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. "Emma, wait," Mom reached for me. I pulled away. "I need some air." I walked out of the dining room. Through the living room. Out the back door. Into the cold December night. The backyard was dark. The only light came from the kitchen window. I could see them in there. Still sitting around the table. Still talking. Probably about me. Poor Emma. Such potential. Such a waste. I sat on the porch steps, my breath clouding in the cold air. My phone buzzed again. I pulled it out, ready to throw it across the yard. Then I saw the screen. 3 missed calls. From Dr. Henrik Carlson, the secretary of the Nobel Committee. My heart stopped. 4 emails. All marked urgent. I opened the first one with shaking hands. "Dr. Richardson, we have been trying to reach you regarding an urgent matter. Please contact me immediately at the number below. This concerns your research on cellular regeneration and therapeutic applications. Time sensitive. Dr. Henrik Carlson, Secretary, Nobel Committee." I stared at the email. Read it again. Again. It couldn't mean what I thought it meant. Could it? With trembling fingers, I dialed the number. It rang once. Twice. "Dr. Richardson." A man's voice, accented, urgent. "Thank God. We've been trying to reach you all day." "I'm sorry," my voice cracked. "What is this about?" "Dr. Richardson, I'm calling to inform you that you have been selected as this year's Nobel Laureate in physiology or medicine." The world stopped. Everything went silent. The wind. The house. My heartbeat. What? "Your work on cellular regeneration and its applications in treating degenerative diseases has been deemed revolutionary. The committee has voted unanimously. Dr. Richardson, you are the youngest person in history to receive this honor." I couldn't breathe. "Are you still there?" "Yes. I'm here. The announcement will be made public in approximately 30 minutes. We needed your consent first. There will be a press conference tomorrow in Stockholm. We'll arrange all travel immediately. 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, the whole world would know. In 30 minutes, everything would change. I looked through the kitchen window. At my family. At Jennifer, glowing with her pregnancy news. At Brad, probably still talking about return on investment. At Mom and Dad and Aunt Mary and Uncle Tom. All of them. Every single one who'd spent years telling me I was wasting my life. "Dr. Richardson? Do we have your consent to proceed with the announcement?" I smiled. For the first time all night, I really smiled. "Yes," I said. "Yes, you absolutely do." I didn't go back inside right away. I sat there in the cold, my phone clutched in my hand. The Nobel Prize. The actual Nobel Prize. For years of 80-hour weeks. For years of failed experiments and late nights and ramen dinners. For years of everyone thinking I was crazy. And I'd done it. I'd actually done it. My phone exploded with notifications. Emails. Texts. Calls. Colleagues from around the world. Media requests. My university president. Everyone knew. Everyone except the people inside that house. I stood up and walked back toward the door. My hands weren't shaking anymore. My jaw wasn't tight. I felt calm. Powerful. Ready. I opened the door and stepped inside. They were still at the table. Dessert had been served. Mom's famous apple pie. The conversation stopped when I walked in. Emma. Mom stood up. Honey, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to upset you. You know we love you. I know, Mom. We just worry about you, Aunt Mary added. You're so isolated in that lab. We want you to be happy. I am happy. Brad snorted. Come on, Emma. You can admit it. This whole research thing isn't working out. There's no shame in that. You could still go back to school, get an MBA, make something of yourself. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who measured worth in dollar signs. Who thought success meant a corner office and a German car. Who had no idea what I'd accomplished. Brad, I said quietly. Do you know what I've been working on? He shrugged. Some cell thing. Cellular regeneration. Specifically, I've discovered a way to reverse cellular damage in degenerative diseases. Parkinson's. Alzheimer's. ALS. My research could save millions of lives. That's nice, sweetie. Aunt Mary patted my hand. But I'm not finished. The room went quiet. I'd never used that tone before. Sharp. Commanding. For the past 4 years, I've been mocked. Pitted. Questioned. Every holiday, every phone call, every family gathering, I've had to defend my choices. My career. My life. To all of you. Emma, Dad started. No. You need to hear this. Every single one of you made me feel like I was failing. Like my work didn't matter. Like I was wasting my potential. Jennifer's eyes widened. We were just trying to help, by telling me to quit? By suggesting I get a real job? By treating my research like a hobby? Well, honey, you have to admit, Mom's voice was soft. You're not exactly making a lot of money, no, Mom. I'm not. I make $40,000 a year. I live in a studio apartment. I drive a car that's older than my PhD. You're right about all of that. I pulled out my phone. The news alert was still there. Glowing on my screen. But about 30 minutes ago, I received a call from Stockholm. I held up the phone. Showed them the screen. I won the Nobel Prize. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. You could have heard a pin drop in another state. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. For my work on cellular regeneration. The work you all thought was a waste of time. Mom's face went pale. Jennifer's mouth fell open. Brad looked like he'd been slapped. I'm the youngest person in history to win this award. At 28 years old, my little research project has been recognized as one of the most significant medical breakthroughs of the century. Aunt Mary dropped her wine glass. It shattered on the floor, red wine spreading across the cream carpet. No one moved. The announcement is going public right now. In about 5 minutes, every major news outlet in the world will be calling this house. CNN. BBC. The New York Times. They're all going to want to talk to the youngest Nobel Laureate in history. I looked at each of them. Really looked. Watched the realization dawn on their faces. The shock. The disbelief. The embarrassment. So yes, Brad. You're right. I don't have a big house or a fancy car. But I have something better. I have a legacy. I have work that will outlive me. Work that matters. I turned to Jennifer. She was crying. Silent tears running down her perfect cheeks. Your pregnancy is wonderful news, Jen. I'm happy for you. Really. But my work will save children. Thousands of them. Maybe millions. Children who would have died from degenerative diseases will live because of what I discovered. I looked at Mom. She was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. I'm not lonely, Mom. I'm fulfilled. There's a difference. My phone started ringing. I looked at the screen. The New York Times. I declined the call. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow in Stockholm. I need to catch a flight tonight. So I'm going to leave now. I walked toward the door. No one stopped me. No one said a word. I paused at the threshold. Turned back. Merry Christmas. Then I walked out. The drive back to my apartment was surreal. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Every news outlet on the planet. My university. Colleagues I hadn't spoken to in years. Even my high school science teacher. I ignored all of them. I needed to think. To process. To feel. Because underneath the anger and the vindication, I felt something else. Sadness. Deep, aching sadness. Because I'd wanted them to be proud of me. I'd wanted them to understand. All those years, every doubt they'd expressed, every worried look, part of me had believed them. Part of me had thought maybe they were right. Maybe I was wasting my life. Maybe I should want different things. A husband. Kids. A normal job. But I didn't. And I never would. I pulled into my apartment parking lot. The building was old, the paint peeling. My studio was on the third floor. 400 square feet of home. I climbed the stairs slowly. Each step feeling heavier than the last. Inside, my apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Papers everywhere. Research notes covering every surface. Coffee cups in various states of emptiness. My bed was unmade. My clothes were piled on a chair. It was a mess. A beautiful, chaotic, meaningful mess. This was where I'd made history. This tiny, cramped, imperfect space. I sat on my bed and finally let myself cry. The next morning, I flew to Stockholm. First class. The Nobel Committee had arranged everything. A car picked me up at my apartment. The driver called me Dr. Richardson. Dr. Richardson. Not Emma. Not honey or sweetie. Dr. Richardson. It felt surreal. At the airport, people recognized me. The news had broken overnight. My face was everywhere. Youngest Nobel Prize winner in history. Scientific prodigy breaks records. The woman who revolutionized medicine. Strangers congratulated me. Asked for photos. Wanted autographs. I signed napkins and boarding passes. Smiled for selfies. All while feeling completely numb inside. On the plane, I finally checked my messages. There were hundreds. But 3 stood out. From Mom, Emma, please call me. We need to talk. I'm so sorry. From Jennifer, I had no idea. I'm so proud of you. Please forgive me. From Dad, my daughter, the Nobel Prize winner. I always knew you were special. I stared at that last message. I always knew you were special. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. He didn't know. None of them knew. If they'd known, they would have supported me. Believed in me. Celebrated me. Instead, they'd spent 4 years making me feel small. I put my phone away. Looked out the window. The clouds stretched endlessly below. Beautiful and cold and distant. Like my family. Stockholm was magical. Snow covered everything. The buildings looked like they belonged in a fairy tale. The Nobel Committee had booked me at the Grand Hotel. My room overlooked the water. It was bigger than my entire apartment. A woman named Ingrid was assigned as my liaison. She was efficient and kind. "The press conference is in 3 hours," she said. "We've arranged for hair and makeup. And there's a dress waiting for you." "A dress?" "You'll be photographed extensively. We want you to look your best." She showed me to a private suite where a team was waiting. They descended on me like beautiful, fashionable vultures. Hair. Makeup. Nails. They chattered in Swedish, occasionally switching to English to ask my opinion. "What color lipstick do you prefer? How do you usually wear your hair?" I had no idea how to answer. I usually wore my hair in a messy bun. My makeup routine consisted of chapstick. My wardrobe was lab coats and jeans. "Just make me look professional," I said. They exchanged glances. One woman smiled. "Dr. Richardson, you are about to become the face of modern science. We will make you look magnificent." And they did. When they finished, I barely recognized myself. My dark hair was styled in elegant waves. My makeup was subtle but perfect. They'd brought out features I'd never noticed. Made my eyes look brighter. My cheekbones sharper. The dress was navy blue. Simple but elegant. It fit perfectly. I looked like someone important. Someone who belonged in this world. Someone who'd won the Nobel Prize. Ingrid appeared in the doorway. Her eyes widened. "Dr. Richardson. You look stunning." "Thank you. Are you ready? The press is waiting." I took a breath. Yes. I'm ready. The press conference was held in a grand hall. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Hundreds of reporters filled the room. Cameras everywhere. Bright lights. The sound of clicking shutters. I walked to the podium. Every eye was on me. Dr. Carlson introduced me. His voice echoed through the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce Dr. Emma Richardson." At 28 years old, Dr. Richardson has achieved what most scientists only dream of. Her groundbreaking work on cellular regeneration has opened new frontiers in treating degenerative diseases. She is the youngest person in history to receive the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Applause. Thunderous applause. I stepped to the microphone. The room fell silent. "Thank you," I said. My voice was steady. Strong. "Thank you for this incredible honor." I paused. Looked out at the sea of faces. When I started my research 4 years ago, people thought I was crazy. They told me I was wasting my time. Chasing an impossible dream. They said I should focus on more practical things. More realistic goals. A few people laughed. Understanding. But I believed in the work. I believed that cellular regeneration wasn't just possible, it was necessary. Because every day, millions of people suffer from diseases that steal their memories, their movements, their lives. And I couldn't accept that. I refused to accept that. The room was completely silent now. Science isn't about what's easy or practical or realistic. It's about what's necessary. What's right. What could save lives. And that's what drove me. Every late night. Every failed experiment. Every moment of doubt. I thought about my family. About Christmas dinner. About all those years of feeling like I wasn't enough. There were times I wanted to quit. Times when it seemed like everyone was right and I was wrong. But I kept going. Because the work mattered more than the doubt. The potential to help people mattered more than the comfort of being understood. A reporter in the front row was writing furiously. This prize isn't just mine. It belongs to every researcher who's ever been told they're dreaming too big. Every scientist who's chosen purpose over profit. Every person who's refused to give up on what matters. More applause. And to anyone out there who's working on something they believe in, something that keeps them up at night, something that everyone else thinks is crazy, keep going. The world needs your crazy. The world needs your passion. The world needs people who refuse to accept what is and instead chase what could be. I stepped back from the microphone. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Dr. Richardson. How does it feel to be the youngest winner? What's next for your research? Did you always know you'd achieve this? I answered them all. Calmly. Professionally. But inside, I was still that girl on the porch steps. Reading the email. Realizing everything had changed. That night, I called my family. It was 3 a.m. Stockholm time. 9 p.m. back home. Mom answered on the first ring. Emma. Oh my God, Emma, we've been watching everything. You were amazing. The press conference was incredible. Thanks, Mom. Honey, I am so sorry. About Christmas. About everything. I had no idea. I know, Mom. No, you don't understand. I thought I was helping. I thought I was protecting you from wasting your life. But you weren't wasting it. You were changing the world. And I was too stupid to see it. Her voice broke. She was crying. I'm so proud of you, Emma. So proud. And I'm so ashamed of how I treated you. I sat on the hotel bed. Looked out at Stockholm sparkling in the darkness. It hurt, Mom. For years, it hurt. Every time you questioned my choices. Every time you suggested I was failing. It made me doubt myself. I know. God, I know. And I can't take it back. I wish I could, but I can't. No. You can't. Silence on the line. But I forgive you, I said quietly. Emma, I forgive you, Mom. All of you. Because I understand. You were scared for me. You wanted me to be safe and happy and comfortable. You were coming from a place of love, even if it didn't feel like it. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not. But I'm giving it anyway. Because holding on to anger won't change anything. It won't undo the hurt. It'll just make me bitter. She was crying harder now. I love you so much, sweetheart. I always have. Even when I didn't understand you. Even when I was wrong. I know, Mom. I love you too. When you get back, we're going to celebrate properly. The whole family. We're going to make this right. Okay, Mom. I mean it, Emma. We're going to be the family you deserve. The family you always needed. After I hung up, I called Jennifer. She answered immediately. Emma. Hi. I wasn't sure you'd call. Hi, Jen. I watched the press conference. You were incredible. So poised and articulate and just incredible. Thank you. Emma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was awful to you. Brad was awful to you. Everyone was awful. Yeah. You were. I was jealous, she said suddenly. There. I said it. I was jealous of you. Jealous? Of me? Yes. You were always the smart one. The special one. Mom and Dad were always so proud of you, even if they didn't show it right. And I was just Jennifer. Pretty Jennifer. Jennifer who married well. Jennifer who did everything right according to the rules. I hadn't expected that. But I wasn't doing what I loved, she continued. I was doing what I was supposed to. What everyone expected. And you? You were chasing your dreams. Following your passion. Being brave. And I hated you for it. Jen, so I tore you down. I made you feel small because it made me feel bigger. And that's unforgivable. I closed my eyes. You're my sister, Jen. You're not unforgivable. I don't deserve your kindness. Probably not. But you're getting it anyway. She laughed. A wet, broken sound. I want to be better, Emma. I want to be the kind of sister you deserve. The kind who celebrates you instead of competing with you. Then be that sister. I will. I promise. We talked for another hour. About everything. Her pregnancy. My research. The future. By the end, it felt like we were kids again. Sisters. Really, truly sisters. The Nobel Prize ceremony was 3 days later. It was held in Stockholm Concert Hall. The Swedish royal family was there. Dignitaries from around the world. Media from every country. I wore a gown the Nobel Committee had commissioned. Deep emerald green. It made me feel like royalty. Like I belonged among these brilliant minds. I sat on stage with the other laureates. Physics. Chemistry. Literature. Peace. Economics. We were all there together. All of us who dedicated our lives to pushing humanity forward. When they called my name, I walked across the stage. King Carl XVI Gustav himself presented the medal and diploma. Dr. Emma Richardson, for your revolutionary work in cellular regeneration and its applications in treating degenerative diseases. The medal was heavy in my hand. Gold. Beautiful. It had my name engraved on it. Evidence that this was real. That I'd actually done it. The hall erupted in applause. I stood there, holding this symbol of everything I'd worked for. And I felt empty. Not sad. Not disappointed. Just empty. Because I'd spent 4 years chasing this moment. For years proving myself. For years fighting against doubt. And now that I had it, now that I'd won. What was next? The banquet was held at Stockholm City Hall. 1,200 guests. The most elaborate meal I'd ever seen. Course after course. Each more beautiful than the last. I sat at a table with other laureates. We talked about our work. Our lives. Our journeys. Dr. Yoshida, who won in chemistry, had been working on his research for 30 years. I was 58 when I finally had my breakthrough, he said. Everyone thought I was too old. Too set in my ways. But the work required patience. Time. Experience. How did you keep going? I asked. For 30 years? He smiled. Because I loved it. Not the accolades or the recognition. The work itself. The joy of discovery. Of understanding something new about how the universe functions. But didn't you doubt yourself? Every day. He laughed. Every single day. But doubt is part of the process. It keeps us honest. Keeps us questioning. The trick is not to let it stop you. Dr. Chen, the literature laureate, leaned forward. The hardest part isn't the work, she said. It's the loneliness. The way people don't understand why you sacrifice so much for something intangible. Yes. I felt a surge of recognition. Yes, exactly. My family didn't speak to me for 5 years, she continued. They thought I was crazy. Writing books no one would read. Poems that didn't make money. It wasn't until I won the Pulitzer that they started calling again. Did you forgive them? I asked. She considered this. I understood them. Which isn't quite the same as forgiving. They were afraid for me. They wanted me to be safe. But they couldn't see that I was safe. In my work. In my words. I was exactly where I needed to be. I thought about that. About understanding versus forgiving. About being safe in your work. Do you have regrets? Dr. Yoshida asked me. You're so young. You've achieved what most scientists never will. But you've also sacrificed years of your life. Did I have regrets? I thought about the question. Really thought about it. All those nights in the lab. All those missed birthdays and holidays and normal life things. All those years of being misunderstood. No, I said finally. No regrets. I wouldn't change anything. Not even the pain? Dr. Chen asked gently. Especially not the pain. Because it made this moment matter more. It made me fight harder. Dig deeper. Become better. They both nodded. Understanding. Because they'd been there too. They knew what it cost to chase something impossible. And they knew it was worth it. After the banquet, I stepped outside. The night air was cold. Snow was falling gently. Stockholm was beautiful in the darkness. Lights reflected off the water. Everything looked magical. Unreal. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad, "We're watching the ceremony online. You look beautiful, sweetheart. Like a princess. Like our little girl all grown up and changing the world." I smiled. Another text, from Aunt Mary, "I'm sorry I ever doubted you. You're the most impressive person I know." Another from Uncle Tom, "Nobel Prize at 28. Holy shit, kid. You're a legend." And one from Brad, "I was wrong about you. About everything. You're not just successful, Emma. You're important. There's a difference. And I'm sorry I couldn't see it." I read them all. Let the words sink in. They were sorry. They understood now. They saw me. But it didn't feel as satisfying as I'd thought it would. Because their understanding came after the recognition. After the Nobel Prize. After the world told them I mattered. What if I hadn't won? Would they still think I was wasting my life? Would they still suggest I get a real career? The truth was painful. But I couldn't deny it. Their pride was contingent. Conditional. Based on external validation. And that stung. More than I wanted to admit. I flew home 2 days later. Back to my studio apartment. Back to my lab. Back to reality. The university had thrown a massive celebration. Banners everywhere. "Congratulations, Dr. Richardson. Our Nobel Laureate." The president gave a speech. My colleagues applauded. Students asked for photos. It was overwhelming. Wonderful. Strange. Because I was the same person I'd been 2 weeks ago. The same Emma who ate ramen and fell asleep at her desk. The same Emma who forgot to do laundry for 3 weeks. The same Emma who talked to herself while analyzing data. But now everyone saw me differently. They treated me like I mattered. Like my work was important. Like I was someone worth listening to. And I realized something painful. The work hadn't changed. Only the recognition had. My research was just as groundbreaking 2 weeks ago. Just as revolutionary. Just as important. But no one cared until someone told them to. My family wanted to throw me a party. Mom called every day. "Please, Emma. Let us celebrate you properly. Let us show you how proud we are." I finally agreed. Mostly because I was tired of saying no. They organized everything at Jennifer's house. Her McMansion in the suburbs. 5 bedrooms. 4 bathrooms. Professionally landscaped yard. Everything I'd supposedly failed to achieve. When I arrived, cars lined the street. The house was full of people. Relatives I barely knew. Mom's friends from her book club. Dad's golf buddies. Neighbors. Co-workers. Random acquaintances. Everyone wanted to meet the Nobel Prize winner. Emma. Oh my God, Emma. I was swarmed immediately. People touching my arm. Wanting photos. Asking questions. What's it like in Stockholm? Did you really meet the king? Is the prize heavy? How much money do you get? That last question came from Brad's father. I'd met him exactly twice before. $1.1 million, I said. His eyes widened. Jesus. That's more than most people make in a lifetime. It's intended to support continued research. Sure. But still. That's real money, Emma. You could buy a house. Invest. Set yourself up. I smiled politely. Moved away. Found Jennifer in the kitchen. She was arranging appetizers on a platter. You made it. She hugged me. Thank you for coming. I know this is probably overwhelming. It's fine. No, it's not. I can see it on your face. You hate this. She wasn't wrong. I don't understand why all these people are here. Half of them don't even know me. Jennifer sighed. Because you're famous now. You're not just Emma anymore. You're Dr. Emma Richardson, Nobel Laureate. You're important. I was always important. I know that now. But they don't. To them, you only matter because someone official said you matter. At least she was honest. Jen, can I ask you something? Of course. If I hadn't won. If I'd just continued my research without any recognition. Would you still have apologized? She paused. Her hand hovering over the platter. I want to say yes, she said slowly. I want to believe I would have realized how wrong I was. But honestly? I don't know. I might have kept thinking you were wasting your life. I might have kept pitying you. That's what I thought. I'm ashamed of that, Emma. Truly. It says something terrible about me. That I couldn't see your value without someone else pointing it out. It says something terrible about all of us, I said quietly. About how we measure worth. About what we celebrate. About who we listen to. Jennifer looked at me. Really looked. You've changed, she said. Since the prize. You seem harder. Sadder. I'm the same person I've always been. No. You're not. The Emma I knew was eager to please. Desperate for approval. And now you don't care what anyone thinks. She was right. I didn't care. Not anymore. The approval I'd craved for years felt hollow now that I had it. Because it came too late. From the wrong place. For the wrong reasons. Mom found me on the back patio. I was hiding. Watching the sunset through Jennifer's perfect suburban trees. There you are, sweetheart. Everyone's asking for you. I needed a minute. She sat beside me. We were quiet for a moment. This isn't what you wanted, is it? She asked. What do you mean? This party. All these people. The attention. You hate it. I don't hate it, Mom. It feels performative. Like everyone's celebrating the prize, not the work. Not me. They're celebrating you. Are they? Because half those people told me I was wasting my life. And now they want selfies. Mom flinched. You're right. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was one of those people. I know you are. No, Emma. I need you to really hear this. I failed you. As a mother, I failed you. I should have believed in you from the start. I should have supported your dreams instead of questioning them. I should have been proud of you for following your passion, not worried about whether you'd be comfortable. Her voice was shaking. When I watched you on that stage in Stockholm, receiving that medal, I felt such pride. But I also felt shame. Because I realized I'd spent 4 years making you feel small. Making you doubt yourself. And that's unforgivable. Mom, let me finish. Please. She turned to face me. I was wrong. About everything. Your research isn't a hobby. Your life isn't a waste. You're not lonely or lost or failing. You're extraordinary. You're changing the world. And I should have seen that. I should have known that. Because you're my daughter, and I should have believed in you no matter what. Tears were streaming down her face. I love you, Emma. I've always loved you. But I haven't always shown it the way you needed. And I'm so sorry. I felt my own tears starting. I needed you to believe in me, I whispered. Even when no one else did. Even when it seemed crazy. I needed my mom to say I'm proud of you. Keep going. And you didn't. I know. You made me feel like I was failing. Like I was disappointing you. Every single day. I know, baby. I know. We sat there crying. Mother and daughter. Finally being honest. Finally saying the things that needed to be said. Can you forgive me? Mom asked. I thought about it. Really thought. I forgave you the night I won, I said. On the phone from Stockholm. Remember? You said the words. But did you mean them? Did I? I meant them then, I said slowly. But now I'm angry again. Because I see all these people celebrating me, and I remember all the times they dismissed me. All the times they made me feel worthless. And I'm angry that it took a Nobel Prize for them to see what should have been obvious all along. Mom nodded. That's fair. That's more than fair. But I also understand, I continued. I understand that people are flawed. That they make mistakes. That they can't always see what's right in front of them. And I understand that you were scared for me. That you wanted to protect me from disappointment. You just went about it the wrong way. So can you forgive me? I looked at her. My mom. The woman who'd raised me. Who'd kissed my scraped knees and helped with my homework and believed in me until I chose a path she didn't understand. I already have, I said. But forgiveness doesn't erase the hurt. It just means I'm choosing not to carry it anymore. She hugged me. Held me tight. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I believe in you, she whispered. I promise. The party continued inside. But I stayed on the patio. Watching the light fade. Thinking. About everything that had happened. About the journey I'd been on. Dad came out eventually. Sat in Mom's empty chair. Your mother's worried about you. I'm fine, Dad. You don't look fine. You look like you're carrying the weight of the world. I laughed. A bitter sound. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? As a scientist? Carry the weight of discovery? Emma, talk to me. Really talk. What's going on in that brilliant head of yours? I considered lying. Saying everything was great. But I was tired of pretending. I'm angry, Dad. I'm so angry I can barely breathe sometimes. At us? At everyone. At you, at Mom, at Jen, at every single person who made me feel like I wasn't enough. At a world that only values achievement after someone official validates it. At myself for caring what any of you think. Dad was quiet. That's a lot of anger, he said finally. Yes. It is. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. I've spent so long channeling it into work. Using it as fuel. But now that I've won, now that I've proven everyone wrong, the anger's still there. And I don't know what to do with it. Maybe you don't do anything with it. Maybe you just feel it. I looked at him. When did you become wise? He smiled sadly. When I realized I'd hurt my daughter. When I watched you on that stage and understood how badly I'd failed you. That changes a person, Em. Makes you rethink everything. Did you really think I was wasting my life? He was silent for a long moment. Honestly? Yes. I did. I thought you were too smart for the path you'd chosen. Too talented to be stuck in a lab making no money. I wanted more for you. Or what I thought was more. What changed your mind? The Nobel Prize? I started to stand. No, wait. Let me finish. He grabbed my hand. The Nobel Prize opened my eyes. But it was your words at the press conference that changed my mind. When you talked about purpose over profit. About refusing to give up on what matters. That's when I understood. You weren't lost. You were exactly where you needed to be. And I was the one who couldn't see it. I needed you to see it 4 years ago, Dad. I know. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. We sat together in the growing darkness. Father and daughter. Both flawed. Both trying. I'm proud of you, Emma, he said quietly. Not because you won a prize. But because you had the courage to follow your passion when everyone told you not to. Because you believed in yourself when no one else did. Because you're making the world better. That's what I'm proud of. I squeezed his hand. Thanks, Dad. But I want you to promise me something. What? Don't let the anger consume you. Don't let what we did turn you bitter. You've achieved something remarkable. Don't let our mistakes take that away from you. I thought about his words. About anger and bitterness. About achievement and joy. I'll try, I said. That's all I ask. Later that night, after the party finally ended, Jennifer pulled me aside. Stay, she said. Just for tonight. Let's open a bottle of wine and talk. Like we used to. Jen, I'm exhausted. Please. I miss you. I miss my sister. So I stayed. We sat in her immaculate living room. 2 glasses of expensive red wine between us. Brad had gone to bed. The house was quiet. When did we stop being close? Jennifer asked. I don't know. Somewhere between your wedding and my PhD. I was a terrible sister. You were a competitive sister. There's a difference. Is there? She laughed. I don't think so. I spent so much energy trying to outshine you. Trying to be the successful one. The accomplished one. And I lost you in the process. You didn't lose me. Yes, I did. You stopped confiding in me. Stopped asking for advice. Stopped treating me like someone who mattered in your life. She wasn't wrong. It hurt too much, I admitted. Every time I shared something about my research, you'd find a way to diminish it. Every achievement became a competition. Every conversation became a reminder that I wasn't living up to your standards. I know. And I'm sorry. You've said that. But I don't think you believe me. I sipped my wine. Considered my words carefully. I believe you're sorry, Jen. I do. But I also think you're sorry because I won. If I'd continued my research and never received recognition, would you still be apologizing? Would you still think you were wrong? She didn't answer right away. That was answer enough. I want to say yes, she said finally. I want to believe I would have eventually realized how wrong I was. But truthfully? I don't know. I might have kept thinking I was right. That you were wasting your potential. At least she was honest. That's the problem, I said. Everyone's sorry now. Everyone understands now. But the damage was already done. For 4 years, I doubted myself because the people I loved most doubted me. For 4 years, I felt like a failure because you all treated me like one. How do we fix that? I don't know if you can. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. So that's it? We just, what? Pretend to be sisters at holidays? Send polite text messages? Never really connect again? I don't know, Jen. I honestly don't know. I want my sister back. You can't have her back. Because she doesn't exist anymore. The Emma you knew needed your approval. Craved your validation. And that Emma died somewhere between Christmas dinner and Stockholm. The Emma sitting here now? She doesn't need anyone's permission to be successful. She doesn't need external validation to know her worth. I don't recognize that Emma. That's okay. I'm still getting to know her myself. We sat in silence. The wine slowly disappearing. For what it's worth, Jennifer said eventually. I think this new Emma is pretty badass. I smiled. Yeah? Yeah. She won a fucking Nobel Prize. She changed the world. She proved everyone wrong. That's badass. Thanks, Jen. But I miss the old Emma too. The one who used to stay up late with me, talking about boys and dreams and stupid things. The one who laughed at my jokes and told me secrets and made me feel less alone. She's still here, I said softly. Buried under anger and hurt and disappointment. But she's still here. Can I get to know the new Emma? While we figure out how to resurrect the old one? I looked at my sister. Really looked. She was trying. That had to count for something. Yeah, I said. You can get to know her. Jennifer smiled through her tears. Tell me about Stockholm. About the ceremony. About everything. I want to know it all. So I told her. About the grand hall and the king and the weight of the medal in my hand. About the laureates and their stories and the banquet. About feeling empty and full at the same time. About achieving everything and still feeling like something was missing. She listened. Really listened. And for the first time in years, I felt like maybe we could be sisters again. Not the sisters we were. But something new. Something better. Something built on honesty instead of competition. Weeks passed. Life developed a new rhythm. My research continued, but now with unlimited funding. The Nobel Prize money. Grants from institutions around the world. Everyone wanted to support the youngest laureate in history. I hired a team. 5 brilliant researchers who shared my vision. We moved into a new lab. State-of-the-art equipment. Everything I'd ever dreamed of. The work accelerated. We made progress I'd only imagined before. Clinical trials were approved. Patients were enrolled. People with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS. People who'd lost hope. And slowly, impossibly, miraculously, they got better. Not cured. Not completely. But better. Functioning. Living. Hoping. I met a woman named Margaret. 73 years old. She'd had Parkinson's for 12 years. Could barely walk. Could barely hold a cup. 6 months into our trial, she was gardening. Actually gardening. Planting flowers and pulling weeds and living. You gave me my life back, she told me, tears streaming down her face. I'd accepted that I was done. That I'd spend my remaining years as a burden. And you gave me my life back. I hugged her. Felt her strong arms around me. And I realized something. This was why I'd endured the doubt. The criticism. The isolation. The pain. Not for the prize. Not for the recognition. For this. For Margaret and people like her. For lives saved and futures restored. This was what mattered. My family slowly became a family again. Mom called every week. Not to question my choices. Just to talk. About her day, my day, nothing and everything. Dad sent articles about my research. From scientific journals and newspapers. Always with a note, so proud of you, sweetheart. Jennifer and I had lunch once a month. She never compared our lives anymore. Never made subtle digs or competitive comments. She was just my sister. Pregnant and glowing and genuinely interested in my work. Tell me about the clinical trials, she'd say. And I would. And she'd listen like it mattered. Because to her, now, it did. Brad even apologized. Properly. I was an asshole, he said over coffee. I measured your worth in dollars and couldn't see beyond that. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. About legacy versus money. And you're right. In 20 years, no one will remember the deals I made. But everyone will remember what you discovered. It's not a competition, Brad. I know. That's what I'm learning. Life isn't about winning or losing. It's about contribution. Impact. You taught me that. I didn't expect to like Brad. But sitting there, listening to him speak honestly about his own epiphany, I realized we're all just trying to figure it out. All of us stumbling through life. Making mistakes and learning and hopefully growing. 6 months after Stockholm, I was invited to give a TED Talk. The value of invisible work. I stood on that red circle. Thousands of people in the audience. Millions more watching online. When I was 24, I started research that no one believed in. Including my family. A few people laughed. Nervous, understanding laughter. They thought I was wasting my life. Wasting my potential. They wanted me to get a real career. Make real money. Live a normal life. And for years, I tried to make them understand. Tried to explain why my work mattered. But they couldn't see it. Because the value wasn't visible yet. I paused. Let the words settle. We live in a world that celebrates visible success. Money. Titles. Recognition. But so much important work is invisible. It happens in labs and studios and offices where no one's watching. It happens in the quiet hours when everyone else is sleeping. It happens in the minds of people who are chasing something they believe in, even when everyone tells them they're crazy. I could see people nodding. Relating. I won the Nobel Prize. But the work that won it? That work was invisible for 4 years. For years of failed experiments and late nights in doubt. For years of people questioning whether I was wasting my life. And if I'd given up, if I'd listened to the doubt, none of the breakthroughs would have happened. Margaret, a woman with Parkinson's who can now garden again, would still be trapped in a body that wouldn't obey her. Hundreds of patients in our clinical trials would still be declining. The work only became valuable when it became visible. But it was always valuable. Always important. Always worth doing. The audience was completely silent. So if you're working on something that matters to you, something invisible, something everyone else thinks is crazy, keep going. The world needs your invisible work. Because today's invisible work becomes tomorrow's breakthrough. Today's crazy dream becomes tomorrow's new reality. The applause was thunderous. Standing ovation. But I wasn't finished. One more thing, I said. To everyone who's ever doubted someone working on something they couldn't see the value in, try to believe in them anyway. Try to support them before the recognition comes. Because the people doing invisible work need your faith more than they need your congratulations after they succeed. They need you to say I believe in you when it's hard, not I always knew you'd make it when it's easy. More applause. People on their feet. Some crying. After the talk, hundreds of people approached me. All with the same story. I'm working on something no one understands. My family thinks I'm wasting my life. I'm about to give up. I talked to each one. Shared my story. Encouraged them to keep going. And I realized something profound. My Nobel Prize wasn't just about cellular regeneration. It was about proof. Proof that invisible work matters. Proof that persistence pays off. Proof that you can follow your passion even when everyone doubts you. That was my real contribution. Not just the science. But the story. A year after winning, I returned to my parents' house for Christmas. The same house where everything had changed. Where I'd sat on those porch steps reading the email from Stockholm. This time was different. Everyone was different. Mom greeted me at the door with a genuine smile. No disappointment in her eyes. Just love. Emma. Come in, come in. It's freezing out there. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine. Christmas music played softly. Everything looked the same. But everything felt different. Jennifer was there with Brad. Her belly huge now. 8 months pregnant. She hugged me carefully. I'm so glad you're here. Me too, Jen. Wait until you see what we did. She led me to the living room. Above the mantel, where family photos had always been, was something new. A framed newspaper. The headline, Youngest Nobel Laureate Makes Medical History. Below it, my photo from the ceremony. Holding the medal. Wearing that emerald gown. Looking like someone important. We wanted to make sure anyone who comes to this house knows, Jennifer said. Knows how incredible you are. Knows what you've accomplished. I stared at the frame. Felt emotions rising in my chest. Do you like it? Mom appeared beside me. We can take it down if it's too much. No, I said quickly. No, it's perfect. Dad came over. Wrapped his arm around my shoulders. We're proud of you, kiddo. Every single day. And we want the world to know it. Aunt Mary and Uncle Tom arrived. Aunt Mary immediately hugged me. Dr. Richardson. Look at you. Still so beautiful and now so accomplished. Uncle Tom shook my hand. Firm grip. Genuine smile. I was an ass last year, he said bluntly. Said some stupid things. I'm sorry. Thank you, Uncle Tom. I've been following your research. Read everything I could find. It's incredible work, Emma. Really incredible. We sat for dinner. The same table. The same turkey and sides. But the conversation was different. They asked about my work. Really asked. Wanted to understand. Explain cellular regeneration to me, Dad said. In terms I can understand. So I did. I explained how cells degrade over time. How that degradation causes disease. How my research had found a way to reverse the damage. They listened. Asked questions. Engaged with the science instead of dismissing it. That's remarkable, Aunt Mary said. You're literally reversing aging at the cellular level. In a sense, yes. And this could cure Alzheimer's? Cure is a strong word. But yes, we believe we can halt progression and possibly reverse early-stage damage. She had tears in her eyes. My mother had Alzheimer's. It was horrible watching her disappear. If your research had existed then, she couldn't finish. I reached across the table. Took her hand. That's why I do this work. For people like your mother. So future families don't have to watch their loved ones disappear. The table was silent. Emotional. Understanding, finally, what drove me. What had always driven me. After dinner, I found myself on those same porch steps. The ones where I'd sat a year ago. Where everything changed. Jennifer came out. Carefully lowered herself to sit beside me. Hey. Hey. Thinking about last year? Yeah. She was quiet for a moment. I think about it all the time, she admitted. That dinner. The things I said. How awful I was. It haunts me, Em. You don't need to let me say this. Please. She turned to face me. I'm sorry. Not just for that dinner, but for every dinner before it. Every conversation where I made you feel small. Every moment I chose competition over sisterhood. I'm sorry for all of it. Jen, we've been through this, I know. But I need you to really hear me. You're not just my sister. You're my hero. You showed me what courage looks like. What integrity looks like. What it means to follow your dreams even when it's hard. And I want my child, she touched her belly. I want my daughter to know her Aunt Emma. To learn from you. To understand that success isn't about money or status. It's about making the world better. You're having a girl? She smiled. Yeah. We found out last week. Congratulations. We want to name her Emma. After you. If that's okay. I felt tears burning. Really? Really. I want her to have your strength. Your determination. Your brilliance. And I want her to know that her namesake changed the world. I hugged my sister. Felt her pregnant belly between us. Felt the baby kick. She's active, Jennifer laughed. Probably going to be a scientist like her aunt. Or a doctor like her mom wanted her aunt to be. We both laughed. The old tension finally, fully gone. I'm glad we're sisters again, I said. We never stopped being sisters, Em. We just forgot how for a while. That night, lying in my childhood bed, I reflected on the year. On everything that had changed. Everything I'd learned. A year ago, I'd thought winning the Nobel Prize would fix everything. Would validate all my choices. Would make the pain worth it. And in some ways, it had. But in other ways, I'd learned the prize didn't matter. What mattered was the work. The patients whose lives improved. The future researchers inspired by my story. The invisible work that became visible. The family that learned to believe. I pulled out my phone. Scrolled through messages. One caught my eye. From a young woman named Sarah. Dr. Richardson, I'm a first-year graduate student. My family thinks I'm wasting my time pursuing research. They want me to go into industry. Make money. Be practical. But I want to follow my passion. Your story gives me hope. Thank you for showing me it's possible. I typed back immediately. Sarah, follow your passion. The world needs your passion. Don't let anyone convince you that practical is better than meaningful. Your work will matter. Even when no one sees it yet. Especially when no one sees it yet. Keep going. I sent similar messages to dozens of people. All struggling with the same doubts I'd faced. All needing to hear that invisible work matters. That persistence pays off. That they're not alone. This was my legacy. Not just the science, but the encouragement. The proof that you can succeed even when everyone doubts you. Months continued to pass. My research progressed even further. We published paper after paper. Each one building on the last. Each one opening new possibilities. Other researchers began replicating my work. Confirming the findings. Building on the foundation. That's how science works. Not solitary genius, but collective progress. One discovery leading to the next. My team grew. We moved into an even larger facility. Hired more researchers. More technicians. Started new clinical trials. The work expanded beyond degenerative diseases. We explored applications in traumatic brain injury, spinal cord damage, cancer treatment. The cellular regeneration techniques I'd discovered had implications everywhere. I was invited to speak at conferences around the world. Tokyo, London, Berlin, San Francisco. Always the same message. Believe in invisible work. Support people chasing impossible dreams. Value contribution over comfort. Everywhere I went, people thanked me. Not for the science. For the story. For showing them it was possible. Jennifer had her baby. A beautiful girl with Jennifer's blonde hair and blue eyes. They named her Emma Charlotte. Emma, after me. Charlotte, after our grandmother. I held her in the hospital. This tiny human. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect and new and full of possibility. Hi, Emma, I whispered. I'm your Aunt Emma. Which is going to get confusing. Jennifer laughed. Exhausted and happy and glowing. She's perfect, Brad said. He was crying. Actual tears. She's so perfect. I handed the baby back to Jennifer. Watched her cradle her daughter. Watched Brad put his arm around them both. A family. Something I'd never prioritized. Never wanted. And I still didn't. I didn't feel regret or longing. I felt happy for them. But not envious. Because my life was full. Just differently full. Thank you, Jennifer said softly. For what? For being you. For showing me what really matters. For being the kind of person I want my daughter to become. I kissed her forehead. She's lucky to have you as a mother. We're lucky to have you as her aunt. On the 1-year anniversary of winning the Nobel Prize, I returned to Stockholm. The committee had invited me for a special symposium. The Future of Medical Research, a conversation with Dr. Emma Richardson. The hall was packed. Students. Researchers. Medical professionals. All wanting to hear what came next. I stood at the podium. Looked out at the sea of faces. A year ago, I stood in this city receiving the greatest honor of my career. Today, I want to talk about what that honor means. What it should mean. And what we all need to remember. I paused. Gathered my thoughts. The Nobel Prize doesn't make research valuable. It recognizes value that already existed. My work was important the day I started it, not the day I won an award for it. And that distinction matters. Because there are thousands of researchers right now doing work that will change the world. Work that's invisible. Undervalued. Doubted. Work that won't be recognized for years, maybe decades. People were nodding. Understanding. We need to support that work. We need to fund it, celebrate it, believe in it. Before the prizes. Before the recognition. Before anyone official says it matters. Because waiting until work is recognized means we're always behind. Always reactive. We need to be proactive. We need to identify brilliant minds chasing impossible dreams and give them the resources to succeed. I saw young researchers in the audience. Their faces lit with hope. To everyone in this room working on something no one else understands, keep going. Your work matters. Even if no one sees it yet. Especially if no one sees it yet. The world needs you to keep pushing. Keep discovering. Keep believing. The applause was immediate. Enthusiastic. After the symposium, a young man approached me. Early 20s. Nervous energy. Dr. Richardson? I'm Marcus. I'm working on research into quantum computing applications for drug discovery. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. My family, my professors, even other researchers. They say it's too ambitious. Too unlikely. That I should focus on something more practical. I smiled. Tell me about your research. His eyes lit up. For 20 minutes, he explained his work. The theory. The challenges. The potential applications. It was brilliant. Truly brilliant. Marcus, this is incredible. Why do people think you're crazy? Because it requires integrating fields that don't usually communicate. Quantum physics. Chemistry. Computer science. Biology. Everyone stays in their lane. I'm trying to build a highway connecting all the lanes. That's exactly what we need. Really? Really. The biggest breakthroughs happen at intersections. Where different fields meet and create something new. Your work could revolutionize drug discovery. But no one will fund it. I've applied for dozens of grants. All rejected. I pulled out my phone. Typed quickly. What's your email? He gave it to me. I sent a message. I just connected you with the director of a research foundation. They specialize in high-risk, high-reward projects. Exactly what you're doing. Tell them I referred you. They'll listen. Marcus stared at his phone. At the email that just arrived. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep working. Say you won't give up. Say you'll prove everyone wrong. I will. I promise. I'll make you proud. You already have, I said. By believing in your work when no one else does. That's the hardest part. Everything else is just persistence. He left with tears in his eyes. And I felt something shift inside me. This was my purpose now. Not just my own research. But lifting others up. Opening doors that had been closed to me. Making the path easier for the next generation. I established a foundation. The Invisible Work Foundation. Dedicated to funding research that traditional grants wouldn't touch. High-risk projects. Interdisciplinary work. Young researchers with crazy ideas. I used my Nobel Prize money as seed funding. Then fundraised from philanthropists around the world. People who understood that the biggest breakthroughs come from the biggest risks. Within 6 months, we'd funded 47 projects. From quantum drug discovery to artificial photosynthesis. From neural regeneration to climate modeling. Each one rejected by traditional funding sources. Each one deemed too ambitious, too risky, too unlikely. But I believed in them. The way no one had believed in me. And I gave them the resources to prove everyone wrong. 2 years after winning the Nobel Prize, I received a call. From Marcus. The young quantum computing researcher. Dr. Richardson. I did it. We did it. His voice was shaking with excitement. Did what, Marcus? The quantum algorithm works. We just ran the first successful simulation. We identified 3 potential drug compounds for treating antibiotic-resistant bacteria. compounds that would have taken years to discover through traditional methods. We did it in 6 months. I felt my heart soar. Marcus, that's incredible. It's because of you. Because you believed in me. Because your foundation gave me the funding to keep going when everyone else said I was wasting my time. You did the work, Marcus. But you made the work possible. After we hung up, I sat in my office, staring at the wall, where I'd hung my Nobel Prize diploma. The certificate with my name. Proof of what I'd accomplished. But Marcus's call meant more than any certificate. Because it was proof of something bigger. Proof that supporting invisible work creates ripples. One breakthrough leading to another. One belief sparking a chain reaction. This was legacy. Not what I discovered, but what I enabled others to discover. My family had fully transformed. Mom volunteered at the foundation, helping with fundraising events, telling my story to potential donors. She was proud in a way that felt real now. Not contingent on awards, but genuine understanding of what I was building. Dad retired from his accounting firm. Started taking science classes at the local community college. I want to understand your world, he said. Really understand it. Not just smile and nod. He'd send me excited texts about what he was learning. Emma, did you know that mitochondria are actually ancient bacteria that got absorbed by cells? I did, Dad. We covered that in my sophomore biology class. It's incredible. Everything is connected. It all makes sense now. His enthusiasm was endearing. Like watching a child discover the world. Jennifer brought baby Emma to the lab sometimes. The baby would watch with wide eyes as we worked. She's going to be a scientist, Jennifer would say. I can feel it. Or an artist. Or a writer. Or anything she wants to be. As long as she follows her passion, right? Right. Jennifer had changed too. She'd gone back to school. Started studying social work. I want to help people, she explained. Like you help people. Just in a different way. She was good at it. Natural and empathetic and dedicated. She volunteered at a women's shelter. Helped survivors of domestic violence rebuild their lives. I finally found my purpose, she told me. It took watching you find yours to realize I'd been living everyone else's dream instead of my own. I'm proud of you, Jen. We're proud of each other. That's what sisters do. 3 years after Stockholm, I was invited to give a commencement speech. At my old university. The place where I'd done my PhD. Where I'd spent countless hours in the lab. Where it all began. I stood at the podium, looking at hundreds of graduates. Young faces full of hope and fear and uncertainty. When I was sitting where you are, I had no idea what was coming. I didn't know I'd spend 4 years being doubted. For years questioning myself. For years wondering if everyone was right and I was wrong. The graduates leaned forward. Listening. I didn't know I'd win the Nobel Prize. I didn't know my research would change medicine. I didn't even know if my research would work. All I knew was that I had to try. I had to see if the impossible was actually possible. I paused. Let the words settle. You're all about to enter a world that will question you. Doubt you. Tell you to be practical, realistic, safe. And some of you will listen. You'll take the safe job, follow the conventional path, do what you're supposed to do. And that's okay. There's honor in that. I saw some graduates nodding. Others looking worried. But some of you won't listen. Some of you will chase the crazy dream. The impossible research. The innovative startup. The artistic vision. The unconventional path. And those of you who do, you need to hear this. The auditorium was completely silent. It will be hard. Harder than you can imagine. People you love will doubt you. You'll doubt yourself. There will be nights when you're not sure you can keep going. Moments when quitting seems easier than persisting. Days when you wonder if everyone was right and you were wrong. I could see the fear in their eyes. The uncertainty. But here's what I need you to understand. The work that changes the world is the work that everyone doubts first. The breakthroughs that matter are the ones that seemed impossible before they happened. And the people who make those breakthroughs are the ones who kept going when everyone told them to stop. I smiled. I'm not saying everyone should ignore all advice and chase every crazy dream. Some dreams are genuinely impossible. Some paths genuinely don't make sense. But if you have that fire inside you, that thing you can't stop thinking about, that problem you can't let go of, that vision you can't shake, chase it. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The applause started slowly. Then grew. Then erupted into a standing ovation. After the ceremony, dozens of graduates approached me. All with the same questions. How do you know if your dream is worth pursuing? How do you handle the doubt? What if I fail? I answered each one honestly. You don't know if it's worth it until you try. You handle doubt by doing the work anyway. And if you fail, you learn and try again. There's no secret. No magic formula. Just persistence and belief and the willingness to be wrong. For years after winning, I was invited back to that Christmas dinner. The anniversary of everything changing. Mom had insisted. We want to celebrate properly. The 4-year anniversary of the best night of our lives. Mom, that was the worst night of my life. Until it became the best. Exactly. That's why we need to commemorate it. So I went. The whole family gathered. Mom, Dad, Jennifer, Brad, little Emma, now a walking, talking 3-year-old. Aunt Mary and Uncle Tom. Even some cousins I rarely saw. The house was decorated just like that night. Same lights. Same inflatable Santa. Same Christmas chaos. But everything felt different. Mom served turkey again. The same menu as 4 years ago. I wanted to recreate it exactly, she said. So we could do it right this time. We sat at the same table. In the same seats. But the conversation was transformed. Tell us about the foundation, Aunt Mary said. How many projects are you funding now? 147. That's incredible. What kind of research? I told them about Marcus's quantum computing. About a woman working on artificial organs. About a team developing sustainable plastics from algae. They listened, rapt. Asked intelligent questions. Engaged with the work. You're not just changing medicine, Uncle Tom said. You're changing how we support innovation. That's even more important than your own research. I wouldn't say more important, I would, Dad interrupted. Your research saved thousands of lives. Your foundation will save millions. By supporting the next generation of researchers. By proving that taking risks on talent pays off. That's transformational. Little Emma climbed onto my lap. Aunt Emma, are you famous? Everyone laughed. Kind of, sweetie. Mommy says you're a hero. I looked at Jennifer. She was smiling, tears in her eyes. Mommy's being generous. No, Jennifer said firmly. I'm being honest. You are a hero, Em. Not because you won a prize. Because you showed us what courage looks like. What integrity looks like. What it means to believe in something bigger than yourself. Brad nodded. You changed all of us. Made us better. Made us question what we value and why. I didn't mean to, that's what makes it more powerful, Mom said. You weren't trying to change us. You were just being yourself. Living your values. Following your path. And we watched and learned and grew. I felt tears threatening. I spent so long angry at all of you. You had every right to be, Dad said. But I'm not angry anymore. I understand now. You were scared for me. You wanted me to be safe. You just didn't realize that I was safe. In my work. In my purpose. Even when it looked risky to you, I was exactly where I needed to be. We see that now, Mom said. And we're sorry it took a Nobel Prize to open our eyes. I'm not, I said. Everyone looked at me, surprised. I'm not sorry. Because the journey, the doubt, the struggle, the proving everyone wrong, that made me who I am. If you'd believed in me from the start, if it had been easy, I might not have fought as hard. Might not have been as determined. Might not have pushed myself to the limits. I looked around the table. At each face. Your doubt made me stronger. It forced me to believe in myself when no one else did. And that self-belief has carried me further than your support ever could have. Silence. Then Aunt Mary started clapping. Slowly at first. Then others joined. Until the whole table was applauding. To Emma, Dad raised his glass. Who taught us all what really matters? To Emma, everyone echoed. We toasted. Celebrated. Laughed. And I felt it. Finally. Completely. Peace. After dinner, I found myself on those porch steps again. The sacred spot. Where everything changed. Where I'd read that email. Where my life split into before and after. But this time, I wasn't alone. Little Emma followed me out. Her tiny hand in mine. Aunt Emma, why are you sitting outside? It's cold. I'm thinking, sweetie. About what? About how different everything is now. She climbed onto my lap. Snuggled against me. Mommy says you're the smartest person in the world. I laughed. Mommy's biased. What's biased mean? It means she loves me, so she thinks I'm better than I am. But you won a prize. A really big prize. I did. For being smart. For working hard and not giving up. She was quiet for a moment. Aunt Emma, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm already grown up, sweetie. But what do you want to be? I thought about her question. Really thought. I want to be someone who makes the world better. Someone who helps other people achieve their dreams. Someone who proves that passion and purpose matter more than money or status. That's a lot of things. Yeah. It is. I want to be like you. My heart swelled. You can be better than me, Emma. You can be whoever you want to be. But I want to help people. Like you. Then you will. And it won't matter if you're a scientist or a doctor or a teacher or an artist. What matters is that you do work you believe in. Work that makes you excited to wake up every morning. Work that feels like purpose, not just a job. She yawned. Sleepy against my chest. Will you tell me about your research? Now? You're 3 years old. I'm almost 4. And I'm smart. Everyone says so. I smiled. Okay. I study cells. The tiny building blocks that make up everything alive. And I figured out how to help cells fix themselves when they get damaged. So people who are sick can get better. Like magic? Like science. Which is better than magic because it's real. Wow. She was asleep within minutes. Her breath soft and even. I held her there in the cold. This tiny human who carried my name. This little girl who represented possibility. Who could become anything. And I realized something. The Nobel Prize was incredible. But this was better. holding my niece. Knowing I'd helped create a family that valued purpose over profit. Knowing I'd changed not just medicine, but mindsets. Knowing that little Emma would grow up in a world where following your passion was celebrated, not questioned. That was legacy. That was impact. That was what really mattered. 5 years after Stockholm, I received another email. From the Nobel Committee. My heart stopped. What now? I opened it with shaking hands. Dr. Richardson, we are writing to inform you that your work has been cited in this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Dr. Patricia Chen's breakthrough in synthesizing stable regenerative compounds was built directly on your cellular regeneration research. She has requested that you be present at this year's ceremony to recognize your foundational contribution. Additionally, we would like to discuss your foundation. The Nobel Committee is considering establishing a similar fund for high-risk research. We would value your consultation. Congratulations on your continued impact on global scientific progress. I stared at the email. Read it 3 times. My work had led to another Nobel Prize. My research had been the foundation for someone else's breakthrough. This was how science worked. One discovery building on another. One person's work enabling the next person's triumph. I wasn't jealous. I was thrilled. Because this proved something important. Breakthroughs aren't isolated events. They're part of a continuum. Each researcher standing on the shoulders of those who came before. Each discovery opening doors for future discoveries. My work would ripple forward. Long after I was gone. Long after anyone remembered my name. The ideas would persist. The progress would continue. That was immortality. Not fame or recognition. But contribution. Impact. Legacy. I attended the ceremony in Stockholm. Dr. Chen was brilliant. Young, passionate, dedicated. Everything I'd been 5 years earlier. When she received her medal, she looked into the audience. Found my eyes. Smiled. During her acceptance speech, she said something that made me cry. I stand here today because Dr. Emma Richardson dared to ask an impossible question. She dared to challenge conventional wisdom and pursue research everyone doubted. Without her groundbreaking work on cellular regeneration, my synthesis of stable regenerative compounds would not have been possible. She didn't just give us new knowledge. She gave us permission to dream bigger. To chase impossible questions. To believe that breakthroughs happen when we refuse to accept limitations. The audience applauded. Dr. Chen continued. Dr. Richardson taught us something more important than science. She taught us that the value of research isn't determined by immediate recognition. It's determined by long-term impact. By the doors it opens. By the questions it raises. By the future work it enables. And that lesson has shaped not just my research, but my entire approach to science. After the ceremony, Dr. Chen found me. Dr. Richardson. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, Dr. Chen. Your work is extraordinary. It's built on your foundation. Literally. Without your research, I'd still be struggling with compound instability. That's how science works. We all build on each other. I know. But I wanted to tell you personally, you're the reason I became a scientist. I was a sophomore in college when you won. I watched your press conference. Heard you talk about choosing purpose over profit, about pursuing impossible questions. And I decided that's what I wanted to do with my life. I felt tears threatening again. You've made the perfect choice. I hope I can do what you've done. Not just make discoveries, but inspire the next generation. Show them that science is about more than data and publications. It's about meaning and impact and making the world better. You already are, Dr. Chen. You already are. Years continued to pass. My research team made breakthrough after breakthrough. We successfully treated hundreds of patients with degenerative diseases, published papers that reshaped entire fields, trained dozens of researchers who went on to make their own discoveries. The foundation grew exponentially. We funded thousands of projects, high-risk research that traditional institutions wouldn't touch. And the results were staggering. 40% of our funded projects led to significant breakthroughs, compared to 5% in traditional funding models. Because we bet on people, not just projects. We believed in researchers, not just proposals. We understood that the best work comes from passion and purpose, not just credentials and connections. Other organizations started copying our model. The Nobel Committee established their own high-risk fund. Universities created programs for unconventional research. Philanthropists redirected money toward invisible work. The entire scientific ecosystem began to shift. From risk-averse to risk-tolerant. From conventional to innovative. From safe to transformational. And it all started with that email on Christmas Eve. With a family that didn't believe. With a young woman who refused to give up. 10 years after winning the Nobel Prize, I returned to my childhood home. Mom and Dad were older now. Slower. Grayer. More tired. But happy. Genuinely happy. They'd found purpose in their later years. Mom had written a book. Believing in Dreams, A Mother's Journey to Understanding Her Daughter. It was honest and raw and beautiful. She didn't shy away from her mistakes. She owned them. Examined them. Used them to help other parents support their children's dreams. Dad had become a science advocate. He lobbied for increased research funding. Spoke at schools about the importance of STEM education. Volunteered with youth programs. I spent 40 years in accounting, he told me. Making money for companies. It was fine. But it didn't matter. Now I'm helping kids discover science. Helping them see that research is cool and important and worth pursuing. This matters, Em. Finally, I'm doing work that matters. Jennifer had become a leading voice in social work. She'd published research on trauma recovery. Developed new therapeutic approaches. Changed policies. I learned from the best, she said. You taught me that impact matters more than income. That purpose is the real measure of success. Little Emma, not so little anymore, was 13. Brilliant and curious and determined. She wanted to be an environmental scientist. The planet is dying, Aunt Emma. Someone has to fix it. Why not me? Why not you indeed? She reminded me of myself at that age. Full of questions and passion and unshakable belief. I'd started mentoring her. Bringing her to the lab. Teaching her the fundamentals. Showing her that science wasn't just textbooks and tests. It was curiosity and creativity and problem solving. Do you think I can really make a difference? She asked one day. I know you can. But what if I fail? What if I work my whole life and nothing changes? I recognized that fear. I'd felt it myself countless times. Emma, listen to me. Success isn't about changing everything. It's about changing something. Even if your research helps one ecosystem recover, that's success. Even if your work inspires one other scientist, that's success. Even if you spend your life asking important questions, even if you never find all the answers, that's success. How do you measure success then? By whether you did work you believed in. By whether you tried your hardest. By whether you made the world even slightly better than you found it. That's the only measure that matters. She hugged me tight. I want to be like you, Aunt Emma. Be better than me, sweetheart. Stand on my shoulders and reach higher. On the 10-year anniversary of winning the Nobel Prize, I gave one final speech. at the same concert hall in Stockholm where I'd received the medal. The theme was A Decade of Impact. I stood on that stage, looking at thousands of faces. Researchers I'd inspired. Students I'd mentored. Colleagues I'd collaborated with. Family who'd learned to believe. 10 years ago, I stood in this hall feeling empty. I'd achieved my biggest dream, but I felt hollow inside. Because I realized that achievement without meaning is just accomplishment. And accomplishment fades. But meaning endures. The audience was completely silent. Over the past decade, I've learned what really matters. It's not the prizes or the recognition or the fame. It's the work itself. The patients whose lives improve. The researchers whose dreams we fund. The students we inspire. The paradigms we shift. That's what endures. That's what matters. I paused. Gathered my thoughts. I've also learned about forgiveness. 10 years ago, I was angry at my family for doubting me. Angry at a world that only valued visible success. Angry at systems that punished risk-taking. And that anger fueled me for a while. But eventually, I learned something important: anger is expensive. It costs energy and peace and joy. And it's not necessary. You can be determined without being angry. You can fight for change without fighting against people. I saw Mom in the front row. She was crying. My family doubted me because they loved me. They wanted me safe and secure. They couldn't see that I was safe in my purpose, secure in my passion. And when they finally understood, they didn't just apologize. They transformed. They became advocates for the very things they'd once questioned. That's the power of forgiveness. It doesn't erase the past, but it creates space for new futures. More tears in the audience. To everyone working on invisible work, keep going. Your work matters, even when no one sees it yet. To everyone supporting someone chasing an impossible dream, thank you. Your belief matters more than you know. To everyone who's ever doubted someone's unconventional path, it's okay. Just be willing to learn and grow and admit when you were wrong. I smiled. 10 years ago, I became the youngest Nobel Laureate in history. Today, I'm just Emma. A scientist who loves her work. A mentor who believes in young researchers. A daughter who forgave. A sister who reconnected. An aunt who hopes to inspire. That's my real identity. Not the prize. Not the recognition. Just the work and the relationships and the meaning. I stepped back from the microphone. The audience stood. Applauded. Some crying, some cheering, all moved. And I felt it. Complete peace. Total fulfillment. Not because I'd proven anyone wrong. But because I'd proven myself right. About purpose. About passion. About the value of invisible work. About what really matters. That night, I sat alone in my hotel room. Looking out at Stockholm. The city where everything changed. Where I became a Nobel Laureate. Where I learned what legacy means. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Dr. Richardson, I just published my 100th paper. Our quantum algorithm has been adopted by 47 pharmaceutical companies. We've discovered over 300 new drug compounds. Lives are being saved because you believed in me. Thank you will never be enough. Another text, from Sarah. The graduate student I'd encouraged years ago. Dr. Richardson, I defended my dissertation today. My research on neural regeneration was accepted for publication in Nature. I'm being recruited by top universities. None of this would have happened without your encouragement. You saved my career before it even started. Text after text. From researchers I'd funded. Students I'd mentored. People whose lives I'd touched. Each one a reminder. Legacy isn't what you achieve. It's what you enable others to achieve. Impact isn't about individual glory. It's about collective progress. Success isn't measured in awards. It's measured in lives changed, dreams fulfilled, possibilities created. I opened my laptop. Started writing. Not a scientific paper. Not a grant proposal. A letter. To that 24-year-old version of myself. The one starting her research. The one about to endure 4 years of doubt. The one who almost gave up. Dear Emma, right now, you're standing at the beginning of an impossible journey. Everyone doubts you. Including yourself. You're scared that they're right, that you're wasting your life, that you should choose something safer. Don't listen. The next 4 years will be the hardest of your life. You'll question yourself daily. You'll wonder if everyone else sees something you can't. You'll have moments when quitting seems wiser than persisting. But here's what I need you to know, you're right. They're wrong. Your work matters. It will save thousands of lives directly and millions more indirectly. It will open doors you can't imagine. It will change not just medicine, but how we think about science itself. More importantly, your struggle will matter. The doubt will make you stronger. The isolation will teach you self-reliance. The pain will give your eventual triumph meaning. Your family will learn to believe. Eventually. After you've already proven yourself. And you'll forgive them, because you'll understand they were scared for you, not skeptical of you. You'll discover that success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. About having the courage to follow your passion when everyone questions it. About believing in your work when no one else does. You'll win the Nobel Prize. At 28. The youngest ever. And it will be incredible and validating and wonderful. But that's not the best part. The best part is what comes after. The students you inspire. The research you fund. The paradigms you shift. The family you heal. The niece who carries your name and your values. The ripples that extend far beyond your own work. So when you're sitting in your lab at 2 a.m., exhausted and doubting, remember this, you're not wasting your life. You're building a legacy. You're not alone. You're pioneering. You're not failing. You're learning. Keep going. It's worth it. I promise. Love, future Emma. I read the letter. Let the words sink in. Then I saved it. Not to send, impossible, obviously. But as a reminder. Of how far I'd come. Of what I'd overcome. Of what really matters. The next morning, I flew home. Back to my lab. Back to my research. Back to the work I loved. My team was waiting. We had new data to analyze. New experiments to design. New breakthroughs to chase. Dr. Richardson, my lead researcher, Dr. Patel, rushed over. You need to see this. The latest clinical trial results just came in. We gathered around the monitor. Data streaming across the screen. Look at the Alzheimer's patients, she said, pointing. The ones in the advanced treatment group. Their cognitive function isn't just stabilizing. It's improving. Measurably, significantly improving. I stared at the data. Checked the numbers. Ran the statistics. It was real. We're reversing Alzheimer's, I whispered. We're reversing Alzheimer's. Dr. Patel shouted. The lab erupted. Cheering. Hugging. Crying. This was why we did the work. Not for prizes or recognition. For this. For data that meant hope. For results that meant lives. For breakthroughs that meant futures. What's next? Asked Dr. Kim, another team member. Next? I smiled. Next we replicate these results. Then we expand the trial. Then we get FDA approval. Then we make this treatment available to everyone who needs it. And then we start the next impossible project, Dr. Patel finished. Exactly. Because that's what scientists do. We solve one impossible problem. Then we find another. We answer one question. Then we ask another. We make one breakthrough. Then we chase the next. It never ends. The work is never finished. And that's the beauty of it. That evening, I had dinner with my family. At Mom and Dad's house. Just the core group. Mom, Dad, Jennifer, Brad, Emma. Nothing fancy. Just pasta and salad and conversation. Tell us about Stockholm, Jennifer said. So I did. About Dr. Chen's prize. About the foundation's expansion. About the decade of impact. I'm so proud of you, Mom said. Every single day, I'm proud. Thanks, Mom. No, I mean it. Not just for what you've achieved, but for who you are. You're kind and generous and dedicated. You use your success to lift others up. That's what makes you truly remarkable. Dad nodded. Your mother's right. Anyone can be successful. It takes something special to be significant. And you're significant, Em. Little Emma, 13 now and full of opinions, spoke up. Aunt Emma, do you ever regret not having a family? Like a husband and kids? Jennifer gasped. Emma. That's inappropriate. No, it's okay. I smiled at my niece. It's a fair question. Do I regret it? No. Because this is my family. You all are my family. And my work is my passion. My legacy. Some people need romantic love and children to feel fulfilled. I need purpose and contribution. There's no right way to build a life. But don't you get lonely? Sometimes. But loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about lacking connection. And I have deep connections with my research team, my students, my colleagues, my family. I'm not lonely. I'm complete. Emma considered this. I think I get it. It's like how I don't need to be popular at school. I just need my 2 best friends and my books. Exactly like that. She smiled. You're cool, Aunt Emma. You're cooler, kiddo. After dinner, Jennifer and I did dishes together. A ritual we'd established over the years. Time to talk without everyone listening. She really looks up to you, Jennifer said, scrubbing a plate. I know. It's terrifying and wonderful. You're good with her. Patient and honest. She needs that. She's a great kid. You and Brad did well. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd believed in you from the start? If we'd supported your research instead of questioning it? I thought about this. Really thought. Honestly? I think I'd be less. I think the doubt made me stronger. Made me fight harder. Made me prove to myself, not just to you, that the work mattered. So our failing you was actually good? No. It wasn't good. It hurt. Deeply. But I used that hurt as fuel. Transformed pain into purpose. And that's on me, not you. Jennifer wiped tears from her eyes. I'm still sorry. For all of it. I know, Jen. And I've forgiven you. But more importantly, you've changed. You've grown. You've become someone who supports dreams instead of questioning them. That's what matters. Not the past, but who you are now. She hugged me. Soap bubbles and all. I love you, Em. I love you too. Late that night, back in my apartment, I sat at my desk. The same desk where I'd analyzed data for 4 years. Where I'd made the breakthrough. Where everything changed. My Nobel Prize medal sat on the shelf, gleaming in the lamplight. A symbol of achievement. But beside it was something more precious. A photo. Of my research team. All of us crowded into the lab. Smiling. Exhausted. Happy. That photo represented what really mattered. Not individual glory. But collective triumph. Not recognition. But contribution. Not winning. But working. I opened my laptop. Hundreds of emails awaited. Grant proposals to review. Research questions to answer. Students seeking advice. I could have ignored them. Rested on my laurels. Enjoyed my success. But that's not who I was. That's not who I'd ever been. I opened the first email. From a young researcher in Kenya. Dr. Richardson, I'm working on tropical disease research with almost no funding. Everyone tells me to give up, to pursue something more practical. But I can't. These diseases kill thousands every year. Someone has to try. I saw your TED talk about invisible work. It gave me hope. Please, can you advise me? I smiled. Began typing. Dear Dr. Okoro, never give up. Your work matters. Tropical diseases are under-researched precisely because they affect people with less economic power. That makes your work more important, not less. I'm connecting you with our foundation. We'd love to discuss funding your research. Send me your proposal. Also, I want to introduce you to 3 other researchers working on similar problems. Science works best when we collaborate, not compete. Your work will save lives. I believe in you. Keep going. Dr.